You reach for the salt shaker without thinking. A pinch on your eggs, a shake on your fries. It feels like nothing. A reflex. But the real answer is far stranger. That white crystal on your table changed the shape of human civilization, and your craving for it is older than agriculture, older than fire, maybe older than your own species. Start with your tongue. Right now, somewhere on its surface there are receptors that exist for one purpose: to detect sodium. Not sugar, not fat. Sodium. Evolution does not waste resources building specialized hardware for something trivial. If your tongue can taste salt, salt mattered for survival. Why would that be? Here is the strange part. Your body cannot make sodium. It cannot store much of it either. Every cell in you, every nerve firing, every muscle contracting, depends on a precise electrical balance between sodium outside your cells and potassium inside them. Too little sodium and your brain swells, your muscles cramp, your heart struggles. Too much and your kidneys strain to flush it out. You are quite literally a bag of salt water regulating itself, and you have no internal factory to make the one ingredient that keeps the whole system running. So where did the first humans get it? For most of the story, they didn't need to look far. Behavioral neuroscientist Jay Shulkin, who spent much of his career studying what he calls sodium hunger, has shown that the craving for salt is a deeply wired biological drive, not a learned habit. Early hunter-gatherers ate meat, organs, and blood. Blood alone is salty. Meat carries sodium naturally. If your ancestors were eating animals, they were already getting what they needed, no shaker required. Everything changed when humans changed their diet. Around 10,000 years ago, populations across the world began shifting from hunting and gathering toward farming. Grains, vegetables, legumes, plant foods are, for the most part, extremely low in sodium. A diet built around wheat and barley instead of meat and blood creates a problem your biology never had to solve before. Suddenly, farming communities were sodium poor in a way that hunting communities never were. This is where the archaeological record gets interesting. In 2005, archaeologist Vasil Nikolov began excavating a site in Provadia, Bulgaria, that would turn out to be one of the oldest known salt production centers on the planet. The site, now called Provadia Solnitsata, meaning literally the salt pit, contains evidence of people boiling briny spring water in clay vessels over fire as early as 5,400 years before the Common Era. Not gathering salt, manufacturing it, deliberately, repeatedly at scale. Think about what that means. This was not a person licking a mineral deposit on a rock. This was organized labor. Fires kept burning for hours, specialized pottery built to withstand heat and evaporation. A community that had figured out a multi-step industrial process for a single purpose: extracting salt from water. Why would a Neolithic farming village invest that much effort into something you now buy for less than $1? French archaeologist Olivier Weller, who has spent decades studying prehistoric salt exploitation across Europe, has argued that as farming spread, salt stopped being a background nutrient and became a currency of survival. Weller's research across multiple Bronze Age sites shows salt production facilities appearing again and again near the earliest agricultural settlements, almost as if the rise of farming and the rise of salt making were two ends of the same rope. Here is the twist most people never learn in school. Salt was not just a seasoning problem, it was a preservation solution. Without refrigeration, meat and fish spoil in days. Salt draws water out of tissue, which stops the bacteria that cause decay. A farming society that had given up the constant fresh meat of hunting still needed a way to store food through winter, through drought, through failed harvests. Salted meat and salted fish suddenly became the difference between a village that survived the cold months and one that didn't. So salt became something worth walking for, something worth trading for, something worth fighting for. Consider the word salary. It comes from the Latin salarium, historically linked to salt allowances given to Roman soldiers. Whether or not soldiers were literally paid in salt blocks, as popular myth insists, the linguistic fossil survives because salt genuinely functioned as a form of wealth in the ancient Mediterranean world. Roads were built to move it. Taxes were levied on it. Cities rose along the routes that carried it. Now zoom out further. Archaeologist and biologist Karen Hardy, who studies the diets of ancient and prehistoric humans, has pointed out that our relationship with salt reveals something deeper about human adaptation itself. Our species did not simply eat whatever was available. We reshaped entire economies, technologies, and settlement patterns around a handful of biological necessities. Salt is one of the clearest examples. A mineral your body cannot manufacture became a force that built roads, founded cities, and financed empires. Here is the part that should make you a little uneasy. You're craving for salt right now, the reason fries taste better than plain potato. The reason a salty snack feels almost impossible to stop eating is the same ancient wiring that kept a Neolithic farmer alive when their entire diet had quietly gone sodium poor. Your brain does not know the difference between a genuine physiological need and a bag of potato chips engineered by food scientists to trigger that same ancient reward circuit. It fires the identical signal either way. That is not a coincidence, it is a mismatch. A craving built for scarcity, now living inside a world of abundance. Think about how strange that is. The exact drive that once required organized fire pits, specialized pottery, and trade routes stretching across continents can now be satisfied in 11 seconds at a vending machine. The infrastructure of survival collapsed into a single coin slot, and your body still reacts as if it just found something precious. Modern nutrition science has flipped the entire ancient equation. For thousands of years, the danger was too little salt. Now, for a large portion of the world, the danger is too much. Public health researchers link excess sodium intake to elevated blood pressure and increased cardiovascular risk, a problem that simply did not exist for most of human history because access to salt was the limiting factor, not the overuse of it. So here is the real question. What does it mean that the same molecule that once required a village's collective labor to produce is now the thing your doctor tells you to eat less of? It means your body is still running software written for a world that no longer exists. The hunger is not wrong. It is just outdated. It evolved in a landscape of scarcity and now operates in a landscape of surplus, and nobody sent it the update. Every time you reach for that shaker, you are repeating a gesture that shaped trade routes, founded settlements, and once required boiling water over open flame for hours just to extract a few crystals. You are not seasoning your food. You are enacting a ritual that predates your language, your country, and possibly your species as it exists today. You reach for the salt shaker without thinking. Now you know exactly why you can't stop.